And welcome back, everybody, to an episode of the TV show that might very well be the last episode of the TV show, because I know something that Angelo does not, which is the first thing that we are discussing today. First off, let me say I'm Jay Black, joined as always by the lovely and talented Rhea Hughes and the soon-to-be incensed Angelo Cataldi, because I got an email from Rhea that said, I have an opinion about something, but you cannot tell Angelo what my opinion is. And you can't see it right now. If you got to go to our YouTube to watch Rhea's face right now, because I would describe her face as being Lil Stinker-esque right now.
Yes.
This
Because
could be the end of the line for me and Rhea.
it
I
could
said
be.
to her, if you liked Unfrosted, Rhea, I'm going to lose all faith in you.
Well, let's get into it. Let me introduce it first. There is a new movie that debuted this weekend on Netflix. It is by 70-year-old former TV star Jerry Seinfeld, one of the formative comedians in my life, Jerry Seinfeld. One of the guys in the 80s that made me want to be a stand-up comic. He wrote, produced, directed, and starred in a movie called Unfrosted, which purports to be the story of how Pop-Tarts came to be invented. It has him, it has Jim Gaffigan. It's got so many stars, more stars than you could possibly imagine. It is it's a mad world of breakfast pastry television shows. And Angelo and I went back and forth on how much we absolutely hated this thing. But I want Rhea to talk about it first. Rhea, what was your opinion on Unfrosted?
Absolutely loved it. Loved it. I mean, I watched the first 53 minutes and then I had to go watch the Phillies game because the Phillies game was on at 4 o'clock. And I went back to watch the end of it, despite emailing with Angelo and him telling me how awful it was. Here's my take on it. There is nothing wrong with having an hour and 36 minutes of goofball fun. Not every movie has to be, Oppenheimer, this great thing. I enjoyed it for what it was, a spoof. I thought Jerry Seinfeld, which, he wasn't the best actor on his own TV show. I thought he was great in this. I loved Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant as Tony the Tiger. By the way, that's a true story. I looked it up. They actually did have a very serious actor who played that, and he did get the mascots to strike, which I found very funny. The guy's name was Thurl Ravenscroft, actually a real guy. But I thought, and the cameos you mentioned, I don't want to give it up, but there's a cameo by the guys from Mad Men, John Hamm and John Slattery, that I laughed out loud at. So to me, it was fun. There's nothing wrong with having fun, and I thought this movie was fun.
I've never seen Angelo as distraught as he currently is. The man's a broken man. Angelo, what did you think of Unfrosted? Did you dislike it, or do you agree with Rhea?
It's a steaming pile of crap. All right. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen because of the level of talent. So now I'm trying to figure out why the hell Rhea, who I really respect as a TV person, would like that. And my only conclusion is she's a huge Hugh Grant fan because she likes British TV and British movies, and she liked him. All right. And fine, he wasn't terrible in it. Everyone else was. Jerry Seinfeld is a horrible actor. He's brutal. All right. He now, we could say, is also an awful director. These people, Melissa McCarthy. You mentioned the guys from Mad Men.
I didn't think she was good.
Sebastian Maniscalco, Jim Gaffigan. Name a guy. Bill Burr. Name a guy who's famous in comedy. They were in this movie. I guarantee you not a single one of them read the script before they agreed to do it. They did it because it was Jerry Seinfeld. Because the script is awful.
I have
so bad. Jake, get in here with me.
I don't want to gang up on Rhea. Rhea, I respect you very much, and I can honestly see from one perspective all of this talent together. It's a big, brightly colored movie. It has an aesthetic back in the 60s, which we all like, but I got to agree with Angelo here.
Yeah.
I think you can always tell when a movie like this fails when the outtakes at the end aren't funny, because you can tell that they're not having a good time. They did like 6 outtakes at the end not even that made me laugh. And I'm curious because Seinfeld is a billionaire. Like he literally
Yeah.
became a billionaire this year. So you have to assume that this was not a play for the money. It's not a play for the fact that he's losing relevance. The guy still sells out wherever he goes. This must have been a passion project for him. And I don't understand where the passion came from, with the possible exception of the fact that Larry David, I think we can now say for sure, was the genius behind Seinfeld because he went
Yeah.
on to greatness with
Well,
Curb
hold
Your
on.
Enthusiasm, and Seinfeld did not.
All right, I'm not going all the way there, all right, because a couple of things you need to know. Seinfeld, clearly based on Unfrosted, has lost it. But Seinfeld was very instrumental in how they put together the final episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Some of those lines as they're walking away from the jail were Jerry's lines. Jerry hasn't lost that. Here's what happened, all right? Jerry is still great when he's doing Jerry. Seinfeld, the comedy, was really Jerry's stand-up act. It was all the minutia of life. He's great at that. He's terrific at that. When he's doing a broad farce like this, he doesn't have a sense of humor. There was nothing. If Rhea was laughing, you see that wine she's got in front of her? She had
Yes.
already emptied a bottle
Yes.
before she watched that dress.
I enjoyed that about him.
It was awful.
I thought he was really good. And listen, I went into it. When I'm told universally something is horrible, listen, Rotten Tomatoes, everybody, and I just said, let me just check it out because I know we're going to talk about it. Normally, that would not be a show that I would watch. And I started watching. When I started laughing in the first 5 minutes, I go, oh, this is kind of fun. I didn't take it as some serious kind of thing. I took it for the spoof. Like, I mean, honestly, if you really look at what they did, you know, the strike part in it, when they storm Kellogg, the mascots, you do know that they were doing a parody of January 6th.
Okay.
Did you pick up on that?
No,
I did not pick up on that. I did not.
I shut it off. I shut
Cody
it
the
off.
Tiger.
You understand? My wife was screaming out to please shut it off. She was trying to watch it with me, and I said,
found it to be fun.
It was, and one other thing, and Rhea, I'm offended by it. I spoke a couple of weeks ago about how the final scene of the last Curb Your Enthusiasm improved the legacy of Seinfeld. I think bringing John Hamm back with John Slattery from Mad Men and doing that scene hurt the legacy of Mad Men. And Jay Black agrees with me.
I agree on that one.
By the way, if you guys stopped watching it, they circle back to them, and it's even funnier.
Yeah.
Right,
no, I watched the whole thing. I was on a plane at 4 o'clock in the morning, flying home from Vegas, looking for any sustenance I can to try to keep my brain working.
I would have been one of those guys that pulled the emergency exit and dove out in the up 33,000 feet. Oh, is it bad? Don't watch it. It's horrible.
It's fun.
Rhea, can you back me up here? Is John Slattery aging better than John Hamm?
John Slattery looks better. Slattery looks better than when he was in Spotlight, which I think was like 10 years ago.
Yeah. What's going
I think
on?
He played like the editor. He's a very good-looking older man.
He really is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this.
John Hamm needs to cut back on the ham.
Yeah,
he looks a little chunky.
He is getting a little chunky. I hate to say it, but
still good looking. Hate to tell you.
No, listen, nobody loves John Hamm more than I do, but I'm sitting there going, John Slattery looks the same. And John Hamm looks like he put on 5 pounds from the time he got his suit fitted to the scene. And I'm just going to say this. I'll give Seinfeld a compliment for being 70 years old. The guy looks great for being 70.
He does look good.
Having $1 billion really does help you out staying young. I don't know whatever his skincare regimen is, but he looks great. One last thing.
Jerry, retire. You suck. It was awful.
I'm just wondering if
you know what, real quick, I want Jay, put it in your thing. I would like people's opinions. Like if you could put up a poll
I'll put up a
one
poll.
of our things, whether people liked it or hated it. I'd love to know.
By the way, you can find that on Rotten Tomatoes, and I can answer the question now. They hate it.
Oh, I should probably mention now, there is a brand new function with our podcast carrier that puts in a reply to the podcast right in the podcast itself. So if you're listening to it, you should be able to look right now on your podcast. It'll say reply, and it will send me an email. So if you just go right now, look at it, you hit reply. You can say what you thought about it, or go to my Twitter. I'll put up a Twitter poll and see what people thought. I'll just be interested in seeing, like, in 10 years, because B Movie, that terrible movie about Jerry Seinfeld as a bee that wants to have sex with a human woman,
Oh, God.
that got reclaimed by Gen Z because
Oh,
of memes. It got memed so hard that Gen Z likes that movie now. Like, my son knows about B Movie. I'll be interested if, like, Gen Alpha 10 years from now talks about Unfrosted as their touchstone piece of literature. All right, let's switch to the NBA, because I sent you this article. The deal hasn't been struck yet, but it looks like it's close to happening, where they're about to earn $76 billion over the next 11 years, triple what they're making now. Now, I looked up the playoff ratings, and it's about 3 million per game right now in the first round of the playoffs, which is flat over the last 2 years, not moving. Is $76 billion worth it for a league that gets 3 million? Like, 10 years ago, 3 million would get you off the air, and now they're paying NFL money for 3 million. It seems ridiculous to me. Rhea, is it worth $3 billion? $76 billion? Is the NBA worth that much?
It's live sports, so they're going to pay it. Here's where the NBA's problem is, where I think the reason they have 3 million less people, they don't have stars anymore. LeBron James is like 38 years old. Steph Curry is towards the back end. They might, I think they have one in Anthony Edwards. That kid is a great player, and he's a show, and he loves the attention, and he's fun to watch. SGA, that kid's a lot of fun. I think Wembanyama, they have to get this next level of stars to where like everybody in the NBA knows who they are. But the problem is, like, we knew about LeBron James when he was 12 years old. We knew about Kobe Bryant when he was 13 years old. We knew these guys. The problem with now is you don't get to know these guys as well, especially in college, because they don't stay as long. So, but the NBA, so I think it will be worth it, because in 2 years, like I said, Anthony Edwards is going to be a superstar. So they're going to have that next layer.
Angelo, what do you think?
yeah, Jay, this is a fascinating story because it captures a moment in time in the history of television, because the NBA is not as good a product as it was 10 years ago. That's basically one of the things Rhea was saying. We knew the stars better. They had marquee guys that you could get around. 10 years later, they take these stars and indiscriminately give them nights off for load management. So I'm paying $76 billion. And I got a marquee matchup some night, Jalen Brunson against Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid doesn't play because it's a road game on 2 straight days. He's not playing. Yeah. There goes my event. There's not the fact that they're still getting 3 times what they got before says that TV has reached a point now where basically the only real events are sports events.
Yeah.
No, the ultimate being Super Bowl, obviously, where they get 100 million people to watch it. But there's no TV now because there's streaming, because there's so many different ways to watch it. There's nothing time sensitive except sports. And that's why. But the NBA is not worth $76 billion. No, most people don't give a damn about the regular season games.
It's shocking to me.
Yeah, they put on a good show. The Sixers and the Knicks put on a great show in the first round, but you had to wait 8 months to get to it.
It's shocking to me, and you're right. The live event, the thing, people still have an urge to have a communal experience, and the only way you can have a communal experience is if you're forced to watch at the same time, which makes me wonder, and I'll just throw this out as a final question on the subject. Why isn't there a push on the network level to create more live events if this is the only thing that pushes? I'm just going to throw it out there. I believe maybe more comedians might be brought on to do live comedy shows on the network level. I mean, the roasted Tom Brady made a big splash.
You're not getting 76 billion.
I'll listen. I'll take a fifth of that and be happy.
But I'll
No.
give you an idea. What you mentioned about a live event, the WNBA, which is going to see a skyrocketing in interest because of Caitlin Clark and Angela Reese. Friday night, they had a preseason game. I believe Angela Reese was playing in it. And the WNBA dropped the ball. Their streaming network didn't work. So
Yeah.
no one could watch it. So a woman was at the game. She put her phone up and she streamed it. Would you like to know how many views that she had during the game?
Yeah.
800,000.
Wow.
Jeez, wow.
As of Saturday, they had 2 million views.
That's
Literally, a
incredible.
person, that's the appetite. So again, I'll go back to it. It's star driven. So,
Right.
Angela Reese is a star, people want to see her, but it's live events. 800,000 people. The only chance they had to see this game was on somebody's streaming phone.
And they were
Right. Now,
desiring of it. Yeah.
new sports. There was a time, Rhea and I remember this, it's probably 20 years ago. Pat Croce was the owner of the Sixers, and he
Yeah.
found this ridiculous game. Involved trampolines. Remember
Slam
this?
ball.
Or was
Oh,
it called?
slam
ball.
ball, slam ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slam ball. And no, it should have been. I mean, it looked pretty exciting to see guys bounce. No, it wasn't. What you're going to
Disaster.
find, I think, WWE is coming back bigger because it's events,
Yeah.
WrestleMania. I think you're going to see an upsurge. Rhea's right. Women's basketball is going to be unprecedented. It really is because it caught the wave. It's
Right.
coming
Yeah.
the wave. Soccer is getting bigger. I'm watching it. It is getting bigger. And sports is just in the catbird seat. They're in charge here.
Yeah.
And you know what else? Football owns the television world. You
Yeah.
realize that? Not these secondary sports. You could see it off season. Nobody wants to see all these other things, the USFL or whatever they're calling it now. No, but man, I can't wait for the next football season because I got a big event on TV all the time. And that's it. They're only going to get bigger, Jay, because of the evolution of TV now.
Okay. And I'm looking at our schedule here. I want to push ahead to British and Teen Corner because we spent a lot of time on the other stuff. So we have some other questions we can push to another day. But I'm hearing from Rhea that we have a special combined British and Teen Corner.
Well,
this
it's not
week.
combined. It's my British corner, and then Clark's teen segment. He watched a British show, so I'm
Oh,
like,
nice.
I think so mine is. It's called In the Land of Saints and Sinners. It's an Irish film starring Liam Neeson. It's on Prime. He plays a guy who's been a hired assassin for like 30 years during it was called the time of the Troubles. It's when the Catholics and the Protestants and, in the 60s to late 90s, car bombings, revenge killings. It was a really troubled time in Ireland. So it's based in the 70s. He works for a local thug called Colm Meaney. We all know who Colm Meaney
I
is.
love Colm Meaney from
Yeah,
Star
he's
Trek.
awesome. Exactly. So every time Neeson kills a mark, he plants them he has the guy or woman, whatever, dig their own grave, and then he plants a tree over him. So he's got quite the forest. But the day this movie starts, Liam Neeson decides he's going to retire because he's developed a conscience. And he's got a junior assassin. You guys will know this because your Game of Thrones place who works with him, who's an absolute hoot. Jack Gleason, he was King Joffrey.
Oh, that kid.
Game
I
of
love
Thrones.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely love him in this. But so what happens is the day he decides to retire, 4 IRA assassins, terrorists, happen upon their little coastal town, and one of them's abusing a young girl. So Finbar, that's the name of Liam Neeson's character, shoots him. Well, the woman in the IRA terrorist was the guy's sister. She decides to go after Liam Neeson's character. She's pretty violent. She is also, you guys know her, Kerry Condon, Better Call Saul.
Yes.
She was Colin Farrell's sister in The Banshees. She is vicious, violent, and you cannot take your eyes off her when she's in a scene. You'll absolutely need subtitles. The Irish brogues are really thick. What I will say, the critics loved it, 83%, audience 75%. I thought it lagged in parts. The Irish scenery is beautiful. So if you want to see what Ireland, coastal town looks like. And I will say this, we always say Liam Neeson is kind of playing the same guy ever since Taken. He's kind of down to a little bit of a notch. He's still killing people, but he's not MacGyver. So I give it a 1 thumbs up, but people seem to really like it. I just found it lagged in some spots.
I just like that he plants a tree. I think more killers need to have a earth-centered focus. You know,
It's
this
recycling is what he's doing.
we have a carbon problem in this country. You're going to kill
Yes.
somebody, plant a tree. That's what I've
Yeah.
always said that. And what does Clark have for us this week?
This one, Angelo, I think you'll love because you loved Borat. Borat. So it's called Kunk on Earth. It's 5 episodes. It's a
Saw it.
mockumentary. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a mockumentary. It's on Netflix. So Angelo, it's this woman. She's Diane Morgan, but she plays Philomena Kunk, and she goes around the world asking real historians and experts questions. But she's like playing like she's really dumb. Like she asked this one guy. They found what was it? They found a stone tablet with the earliest writings of mankind. And she said, if somebody shouted this out loud, would that be considered the first audio Bible? So, so Clark's, he watched it with the girlfriend, and he said he actually learned about history while he was laughing hysterically. And it got a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
I
So
agree with
people
that.
love
It's
it,
great.
Wait,
it's
wait,
on
wait.
Netflix. It's on Netflix.
I
But Angela,
watched it. I've seen
You
a
did?
couple episodes.
Okay.
The woman is hilarious.
yes,
And you know what, Rhea? Her British accent makes it funnier for me.
yes,
Oh, no.
yes, because
But
you think they're
this
serious.
is very similar to what Borat did
Yeah.
when he was doing he was that rapper. I can't
Yes.
Ali G.
Ali G. Ali G.
Ali G. Rhea, it's the same shtick. Dumb questions that and you'll get to see if the person is nice and tries to cover for the stupidity of this woman,
Right.
or whether they just get upset. Like
Yeah.
when Ali G did Trump, he got very upset and he marched out and all
Shocking.
that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it's great to see their reaction to these stupid questions. She's great at it.
Yeah.
I also recommended her.
There you
Rhea,
go.
you should stick to British TV. You're not so good when you get to Seinfeld. That's all I'm saying.
One thing I'll say about Kunk that I like is I feel like she's a little bit more gentle than
Right.
Ali G was. She's a little
Yeah.
less biting.
A
I
little.
like that. I like
I
her
know.
gentleness. I prefer that. I like to cringe, just not super hard. And what do you got for us this week, Angela? What did you
Oh, all right. First of all, I tell you, I'm giving you a pan every week. If you watch Unfrosted, it is, using Rhea's words, it is 1 hour and 37 minutes. You will never get back. All right. So do
You're not
so
allowed to
at
steal
your
that.
do so at your own peril. All right. I got something great. I mean, not great in that when it's over, you're going to feel wonderful, but great in that it takes how far people will go in reality TV to another level. Now, not long ago, I recommended a show on Prime called The Greatest Show Never Made. And it came out around 2000. It was right around Big Brother time. And this guy just scammed a whole bunch of people and made them think they were going on a show to play for $1 million or whatever that was. This is different. This is a TV phenomenon around the turn of the century. And it has been made into a documentary called The Contestant on Hulu. And it is about a man who, when he was young, a Japanese man who, when he was young, he had a very long face. So he became known as Nasubi, which is another word for eggplant. And he was bullied and made fun of. And he decided, well, if I look goofy, I'm going to become a comedian. And he attempted to become the next Jay Black. But the problem was that he couldn't break through until this offer to go on a TV show. Reality TV show, no explanation. Just show up and we're going to have a raffle. And they pull his name out. And what happens over the next 15 months is the most insane thing I've ever witnessed on TV, and I've watched it for 70 years. This is something you won't, I watch it Sunday night. I can't stop thinking about it. The whole story of what happened to this guy and this evil producer. 30 million people on Japanese TV were watching this stuff.
Wow.
And the guy had no idea anyone was watching him for over
That's
a year.
insane. It's
Oh.
insane that
And
that's
they
even
gave him
legal.
nothing. They gave him nothing to eat. He had nothing to wear. He was in this small, tiny apartment, trapped in there, although the door was open and he chose never to leave. You've got to see this. Please, we have this mechanism now to get feedback. Please
Yeah.
watch The Contestant on Hulu. Jay, you got to see this. I'm telling you, this is next level insane.
I'll check it out this
At the end
week.
of it,
Wow.
at the end of it, you do love the guy. The guy's a really good guy who went through all this. But the producer should be in jail.
Yeah.
The people around
Wow.
should be in jail. The Japanese culture that they embrace this humiliation is insane. You have to see this. It's done by a first-time documentarian, Claire Titley. And all I could say is, I think she nailed it. Look, there's a lot of questions. I'm not going to say it answers all your questions, but it
How did
leaves.
he eat? I have a question. How did he eat?
Um, he ate. Initially, they gave him a few dry crackers, and the
Oh my
only
God.
way he could live his life was to enter contests and attempt to win them.
Really?
Otherwise, there was
Wow.
no sustenance of any kind, including the fact that he was absolutely naked, streamed on TV in Japan. And there was a guy whose job, 24 hours a day, they had shifts, would attempt to keep an eggplant, a cartoon eggplant, where his privates were.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine that being your job? Honey, I got to go to work now. I got to cover some privates for 8 hours.
Yeah. I
With an
can't
eggplant.
It's
can't
crazy.
talk. I had a rough day at work covering privates. I'm just gonna
Gotta
say
see
this.
this.
As a
It's-
comedian, still treated better than most comedians are at
Yeah.
clubs. You
Good.
know, that's
Good for you. This guy
Wow.
got the worst treatment ever. It's called The Contestant. It just dropped on Hulu. You got to see it. You won't believe it.
all right. I have a quick review of A Man in Full, which I talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, coming out on Netflix. I saw the first 2 episodes on the way home from Vegas, and it was I'll say this, it very well done. It very much looks like a prestige television show. There are some things that are happening now with prestige TV that are tropes. The combination of drama and comedy, the big stars being drawn in for a mini series, the way they're filmed. All that being said, if you're a fan of Tom Wolfe and you're a fan of the novel, it brings it to life in a very satisfying way. I have a soft spot in my heart for this novel. I read it when I was in college. I love it. And I thought it was unfilmable, and it was as a movie, but it works as a TV series. And even if you haven't read it, it tells the story of a very over-leveraged real estate tycoon in Atlanta whose life begins to fall apart when the banks call the loans due. He's got a second wife who's a trophy wife, and he's surrounded by people that use and abuse his wealth. And I don't know why that has become suddenly relevant in the world that we're living in today, but apparently there's some relevance there. I also saw the Equalizer 3 on the way home. It's also just dropped on Netflix. I know Denzel Washington is our best actor currently going, but if he could just make one of these every 2 years until he dies, I'll be happy. It's just
Oh yeah, because that's highbrow. I've seen Equalizer 1. It's
It-
literally people getting gunned down
and it's
every
great.
2 seconds.
It's old
Yeah.
man Denzel killing people, and I
Yes.
want it till he dies. Just do another
I
30
love
years, Denzel. 30 more years of that. It's a B-, but it's a B- that you can love. So check
I
that
just
out
got to
as well.
say this. When I saw the docket for today, I watched the first 2 episodes of A Man in Full.
Yeah.
I didn't expect much because the reviews have not been strong. It's really good.
Right. Yeah.
Is
Okay.
it?
Jeff
Okay.
Daniels is a
Amazing.
fantastic actor.
He
And
really
if you
is.
like him, you will love what I saw so far for the reasons you said, Jay. Quality production, good writing, witty stuff. The line about the trophy wife,
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah. It's worth your time, and especially if you're a fan in the book, it very much brings the book to life in a good way. So worth
Right.
your time. All right.
Okay.
So Angelo, what did we go over this week?
Under no circumstances should you check out Unfrosted on Netflix. None. Do not listen to Rhea. I think she was drinking too much that time. If you would like to see the NBA, which is getting a new deal for $76 billion, they're available on ESPN, TNT, TBS, and True TV. And the best part is scheduled now because they're in the playoffs. Clunk on Earth is a Netflix recommendation that I think we all agree is a great show.
Yeah.
Rhea's recommended it. Also, In the Land of Saints and Sinners, Netflix. This is a big day for Netflix.
Prime. That's Prime, Ange.
Oh, that's Prime. I'm sorry.
That's Prime.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Good. Prime. All right. We also have The Contestant on Hulu. Check it out. It'll blow your mind. A Man in Full is on Netflix. And if you have low taste like Jay, The Equalizer, the new one, whatever the new one is, that is also on Netflix. But we think Jay's crazy.
Denzel Washington killing people. What more do you want
Oh,
out of
geez.
life? That's all you need to enjoy yourself. Well, that and also a copy of Angelo Cataldi's book, Loud, which you can get at angelocataldi.com or wherever you buy your fine printed materials or recorded materials. Rhea Hughes, Angelo Cataldi, thank you for joining. Every week we're here. Tell 5 friends about the show. We had a great week last week. Tons of people tuned in, and I want that to continue happening. We can only do that if you tell people about the show. We will be back next week with more great TV.